Hello everyone, this is Undiga, the Niger fertility lawyer. Today, I'd like to say a few things about posthumous conception. Everybody knows that Nigeria does not have any specific surrogacy or assisted reproductive technology laws. But one thing that is less commonly known is the fact that we do have existing laws on the books which affect a lot of these practices. And today, I'd like to talk about how existing Nigerian law affects the practice of posthumous conception. Now, posthumous conception is a situation whereby a mother or a father has preserved has put some of their eggs or sperm in storage, and those eggs and sperm are used in the conception of a child who is born after the death of the parent who saved those gametes. So I use a man, for instance. It's very common when a man or a woman is going through cancer treatment to decide to put some of their sperm or their eggs in storage in cryopreservation because cancer treatments are very toxic for the facility and affect the quality of the eggs and sperm. So say for instance, somebody was facing a cancer diagnosis and was about to go through cancer treatment, including chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and they put away some of their eggs or sperm in storage. And after that person sadly passed, their spouse or their partner decided to go ahead and use those eggs and sperm to conceive a child. That a child would, if that child was born after the death of the parent, one of the parents who contributed the gametes, that child is said to have been conceived posthumously. Posthumously meaning after the death of one of their parents. And now the complication comes in how the law recognizes parenthood. Who will be the parents of that child? Now, because we do not have laws in Nigeria about assisted reproductive technologies, the laws on the books follow the biological reality of a child. For you to say that a child was the child of a man, for instance, that child needed to be born within about 9 or 10 months of the death of that man, because that's the normal biological reality. A pregnancy takes about 9 months. Those laws were not made considering the fact that eggs and sperm could be frozen and stored that way well and used well beyond the 9-10 month period that is in the Evidence Act, the Nigerian Evidence Act. And so if that child was born outside that 10-month period, out after the death of that father, that child, legally speaking, has no legal father, because the presumption of paternity in Nigerian law will not cover that child being born outside that 10-month period. Also, if that child was, the Evidence Act makes provision for that a child to be born within 10 months to the widow, to the wife of the dead man. So it means that if that child was born to another woman, not the widow, the presumption of paternity will also not cover that child. And in such a case, that child will also be the woman who gave birth to the child will be the legal mother of the child, and that child will legally not have a father. That places such a child in a double bind. So, and the reverse could also happen where it was a woman who saved her eggs and her husband used those eggs to conceive a child after the death of his wife. In such a case, the child would have a father, but the surrogate will automatically become the legal mother of the child. So in such situations, you see that the technology exists and is used and is widely available, but people do not really appreciate the effects of the existing Nigerian law on that practice of posthumous conception. In such a case, you would need to approach a legal advisor who will tell you the steps that would need to be taken to make sure that that child is legally recognized as a child of the deceased parent. In many cases in Nigeria, because our civic registration system is so porous, it is quite possible for such a parent or a person in such a situation to approach the birth registration authorities and have that child registered in the name of the dead parent. But that actually does not solve the problem, because that child's paternity can still be contested because the child was born outside the period provided for by the law. So my advice in such a situation is, before you embark on posthumous conception, get the advice of a legal advisor who is aware of the legal position concerning that situation, and get the proper advice about what you need to do to make sure that the maternity or the paternity of that child is very well established and properly documented, for not just for present purposes, but for the future purposes, which we may not know, where the situations that may arise where such a question will be important. I hope you took value from this video. Take care out there.